Hey everybody, it's Sam McGuire here. We're going to be looking at WritePad version 7. Now, this is just a quick trial to see how the different features work. This is a brand new update, really taking us into how OS 7 looks. And as you can see here, I've got a few different tests where we're going to be trying it out and seeing how it works. Primarily in cursive, but it works well with other kinds as well. And you can see most of the times that there's an issue, it's because I actually wrote a word with a cursive letter that looked like the one that it interpreted as. So it's kind of laziness on my part, but you can see a lot of the words actually are still messy, but it's still getting them. Okay, so a lot of different things here as you go through. We're looking at one of the different ways you can actually write here with the text at the bottom. So this is one of the ways, and as it does this, it adds it up into the top. And it gives you some suggestions. That's one of the new features in 7, is how quick that those pop up. You can see it's kind of just cycling through guesses, and you can go up and tap any of those if it's trying to figure it out but you're not getting it. You can also, down there in the bottom right hand corner, you can see a period, a backspace, and an enter, and that helps you navigate as you're typing as well. And anytime you're writing and realize that it's not working, you can hit the space, which is the one right next to the period, and it will restart the writing that you're doing right there. Okay, so some of the words are working, some of them aren't. I'm just going through and trying to figure out which ones are and aren't. So it takes a little time to get used to this, but for the most part, it's actually pretty good. Now you can see here I did number 1 and it gave me an I. So things like that sometimes, which I thought the 1 looked pretty clear, didn't actually come out that way. I guess the main overall thing is that it's just going to take a little time to get used to, but then it offers a very nice alternative to having to use the keyboard. And once you get used to it, you're going to learn which of your letters get misinterpreted most of the time, so you can avoid those and use alternates. Now you can see that last one there with the trip, take a trip. Some of those letters looked horrible. Okay, now we're switching to a different mode here where we can actually write right on the screen. And that's actually an example of one of the little shortcuts to be able to do something where you type in a word, circle it, and it does something else, and you can see it put the date on there. Now, with this one, instead of having that across the bottom, you can just write it anywhere on the screen. And I've had a little bit more problem with this because sometimes my stylus isn't recognized, and so it just moves the cursor around instead of letting me write. But you can see for the most part, it's still equivalently accurate as when you're writing down on the bottom. So not a bad thing. Now we can share this. We can print it, export to PDF, post to Facebook, send an email, share on Twitter, iMessage, via Wi-Fi, all of these things. So even though you can't use this program inside the actual mail app, you can still use this to send an email. And of course, you can tidy up the different footers there with a signature to customize it in your settings, but this is still a great way to be able to send an email without having to use the keyboard in the iOS email app. Anyway, a lot of really cool features here, and it allows us to use handwriting as an input for our iPad. While it's not perfect, it's still a really great tool and one that has a nice new update. You can also change the themes of how it looks. We didn't look at those here because I think that's kind of a secondary thing to actually functioning well. But check it out. A little bit expensive at $10, but considering how well it works, and you could see how I was just writing things in, it was working. This is a great app.